$25. Citizens over 65 can sign up with a valid ID and receive free installation plus 1 month free on selected broadband plans. Visit a smart showroom near you for more information on how you can enjoy Smart's Golden Citizen broadband program. Smart, bringing people together.
Centaur, your kind of company.
The Qatar 2022 World Cup is approaching. Start date November 20. Live the emotion of each match.
This man is absolutely mainline to pure footballing magic.
Each great goal.
Again, the medicine man arrives.
And each play.
Watch this hesitation right there. 3 players inside a telephone box, and he don't care.
Through Centaur. Subscribe now.
Centaur, your kind of company.
Good evening with your news, also simulcast on Fiesta FM 106.7. I am Joanna Rodriguez. Police raced out to the scene of a reported shooting incident at the entrance of the Escalante subdivision south of San Pedro town before sunup on Saturday morning. The culprits are one police officer on interdiction charged with a domestic incident, and the other an ex-policeman who was fired from the department months ago. In the end, the owner of Jade's Bar, Elvis Polanco from the DFC area of town, died from gunshot wounds, and his wife, Tomasa Evelia Velasco Garcia, received a gunshot wound to her arm. We make a follow-up on this story because one of the culprits was hired for security purposes by Polanco. This has been the practice of many business establishments across Belize to hire officers on interdiction to work as security workers. However, it begs the question, is it the right thing to do? In speaking to the media yesterday, Compole Chester Williams thinks it's not such a bright idea.
Certainly, this should not have the business community feel intimidated or unsafe to hire police officers who are on actual duty. And when I say actual duty, I mean who are not interdicted. To perform special duty for them. But when it comes to officers who are on interdiction, it means that we as a department have identified them as a bad seed. And I would discourage members of the public from hiring them. We can't tell you not hire them because the truth be told, they are on interdiction, they're on half pay, and they may need to do something else for ends to meet, to be able to meet their financial obligations. But we need to look at the reason why they are on interdiction. And again, that should signal to you as a business person whether or not you should hire them. as your security or for whatever reason within your organization.
Sorry, but it must cause you distress that a police officer's name and another who used to be a part of the department are being connected to this case in any kind of way.
I can't stress myself over things I have no control over. I as the Commissioner of Police, I always make sure that when there is information of police officers' involvement in any illegal activity, that they are dealt with and dealt with swiftly. And so long as I do my part, then I think the public is going to be comforted to know that as a department, we're not covering up the illegal or ill-disciplined actions of our members.
As per the robbery turned murder on the island of San Pedro, the police department is still carrying out diligence in making sure a solid case is brought against a disgraced interdicted and ex-cop when they are brought before a court of law. Word coming out of Honduras is that Big Creek's Arturo Magana was gunned down in Puerto Cortes, Honduras last week. According to reports, Magana had traveled to Puerto Cortes, Honduras on a personal trip accompanied by his wife. However, on the evening of November 16, 2022, as they exited their hotel, a lone gunman on a motorcycle shot Magana several times, causing his untimely death. Arturo Magana was an accountant by profession. The United States has designated former UDP Minister John Birchman Saldivar for his involvement in significant corruption. Specifically, the U.S. says Saldivar accepted bribes for the improper acquisition of Belizean immigration documents and interfered in public processes for his personal benefit during his tenure as a government official. While Saldivar maintains that he operated at the highest level of integrity during his time as a public official and stressed that no evidence can be produced to the contrary, his party is now moving to investigate him. At a press conference today, the leader of the opposition, Shine Barrow, announced that a 7-member special committee has been formed to decide the former leader's fate.
We have to accept that the Americans have a very rigorous judicial system and system of governance, whether investigating former presidents and the like, and certainly this coming from the Secretary of State is serious, and we can't get around that. That does not preclude Mr. Saldivar from having some type of due process. It is important. This is a part of all robust democracies that people will be accused, in this instance designated, but still have an opportunity to present their side. And that is what we are doing with the special committee, which will examine, consider, and make a determination, not just based on legal guilt or innocence, but the myriad factors involved.
According to Barrow, the committee has requested information from the U.S. State Department regarding Saldivar's case.
While we appreciate our relationship with the world superpower, we also have a responsibility to our Constitution and our human rights and our presumption of innocence. But as I mentioned earlier, this is not the Supreme Court. This is not the Magistrates' Court. We are an institution, a political institution, and as one of my political friends always reminds me, we are in the business of winning elections, and you cannot win elections if you don't have the public confidence, and you cannot have the public confidence when one of your members are accused in this fashion.
And while the U.S. has made it official that Saldivar could not set foot on U.S. soil, the UDP hopes to have determined Saldivar's fate within the party by December 9th.
Mr. Saldivar will have the opportunity to appear before the special committee December 2nd. And thereafter, the special committee will make a determination in this matter no later than December 9th. So no later than 7 days. They may conclude that day what their decision is. They may conclude a few days later. But that is the timeline for deliberations in this matter. I have to accept that the allegations of Mr. Saldivar being involved in corruption has haunted him since he was a minister, and with this latest development continue to haunt him.
But according to Barrows, Saldivar might not be the only one banned from flying into the U.S. Today, he told the media a government official could be facing the same music.
I'm telling you, this is not the last designation from what I understand. There is a certain minister in government right now that is very well maybe on his way to be designated. I'm not sure.
So, as you heard, Saldivar's fate now lies on the hands of a 7-member special committee formed by the party chairman, ethics chair, rules chair, legal advisor, nominations chair, and the 2 members of the nomination committee. In the case of the legal advisor, it is no longer Steve Pereira, as he has decided to disassociate himself from Saldivar.
He's no longer the legal advisor because you don't have an option in a matter like this. This is not about Steve Pereira. This is about the institution of the UDP. And when you take on the responsibility of being a legal advisor, that's a hefty burden to carry. So when the burden becomes overwhelming, you don't say, oh, I had to take this off, why want to dip on? Oh, no, it doesn't work like that. We are a sovereign nation. We are the constitutional opposition, and no personal consideration should be made when dealing with such a weighty matter. We have to deal with it.
The Belize Public Utilities Commission, better known as the PUC, is tasked to regulate the water, electricity, and telecommunication sectors in Belize in order to ensure that these services are accessible, of high quality, and affordable for consumers. Ensuring that these services are viable and sustainable is also part of the PUC's task. However, a lot of major technical work goes into each of these services, and it can be confusing at times. In that regard, to clarify the technicality of their role in society, the PUC today held an event at the Biltmore Plaza in Belize City. Starting with electricity, the Commission spokesperson explained why BEL has a 4-year tariff review period.
Once a plan is approved by the PUC, it becomes a national plan. Okay. Whatever plan BEL have is their plan, and it may serve very well their interest. But how do we know that it serves the national interest? It when it comes to us, and we trash it around, we put it to the stakeholders. And just remember, every decision we do has to go through public consultation. So whatever plan we approve will go there for a 14 days or 20 days or 28 days consultation, get feedback before the commission approves. So once we approve it, it becomes a national plan. And like you rightly said, words of the chairman of BEL, you know, it becomes if BEL doesn't implement it, if PUC doesn't implement it, well, this isn't the case now. It's a national plan, and it's the responsibility of PUC to implement it. BEL is instructed to do. And if they don't, then we can find another licensee to do it. That's how it should work. But in the past, the power struggle, which one overrides the other. So
I remember the 40s days.
exactly. So what we're saying is that we are now putting regulation in place, like the chairman says, this, to be able to make sure there is control, there is order, and the instructions are correct. There is a planning, then there's proposals that are set forward by the licensees, and in those proposals, they would cost the product that they're going to deliver. Of course, we also look at historic, how much it cost them last year to deliver what they delivered. And as a result, that is reviewed by us. We go in detail, reviewing everything. We use the red setting methodology, which we call the regulatory model. Once that is ordered, that is approved by the commission, then that becomes an order, and that is the mandate that they have to deliver that service at a certain price.
So that explains why BEL is not allowed to have a regulated price on energy consumption, and whenever there is a need for a price increase in electricity rates, the process must be followed and PUC must carry out a public consultation to ascertain an acceptance of their proposal. All that is governed under the auspices of the Electricity Act, Chapter 221. But now it begs the question, if electricity is regulated by the PUC, then what happens to those families that invest in solar panels and are not connected to the national grid? Here is the answer to that.
The process that we are following, which is more or less international, we have to open up the law to develop licenses for different people. Right now, we only have license for the power plants, we call the independent power producers, license for the utility, and a license for somebody that wants to put a big generator for his own use.
Okay.
We need to open up that license to be able to give licenses to people that want to put on their rooftop, to a little commercial person like maybe Publix or Fort George that wants to put a little bit bigger one. So we need to open up, that's the first step. We have to open up the law to be able to bring in more players.
Okay.
And for the rooftop solar, we have like an automatic class system whereby once you meet certain criteria, you're in.
Okay.
To that then, we are just about to release the concept paper to the public on the different forms of rooftop solars and distributed generation. You know, the different categories, the small ones, the medium ones, the large ones, and how they would work. So the idea is that we cannot make any decision without consulting with the public. So we put it out there, the public gives us their response. When we get their response, then we write the bylaw, put it back again to the public, and if the public is comfortable with it, then we send it to the minister for signature.
Eventually, in the near future, there will be laws that govern the usage of solar panels for electricity in Belize. We now take a look at how water is governed in Belize. Most of the process remains the same with some changes here and there. For instance, a 5-year tariff review proposal must be submitted for water in contrast to a 4-year tariff review proposal for electricity. The reason behind that 5-year period is because universally, water is less volatile than electricity, so there can be a stability in rates. The commodity is one that the PUC plans to make competitive in Belize.
Water has remained almost like a natural monopoly, but we need to put more regulation into it. The production of water can be very competitive. Right now, there are 3 methods of producing water in the country. One is well, the next one is surface water treatments, like the one here at Double Run, and the one in San Ignacio, and in Instant Creek. And there is the reverse osmosis plants like you have in the Keys, where you don't have much fresh water to harvest. But San Pedro had a private company, Consolidated Water, BWS took it over. So at this moment, there's really no competition on the production of water. We want to see how we can bring this in. And any more wells that are required, we could probably put that out for competition and see who can give the cheapest option for wells. No? The delivery of water, that's a natural monopoly. It's impossible just to put more pipelines and different companies' pipelines into the streets. That one is good enough. Customer service, again, can be contracted out. The collection of wastewater is also a natural monopoly, because when the water goes and it's used, it has to be returned back where the systems are there. The treatment of wastewater can also be competitive. There are so many ways of treating wastewater. As a matter of fact, we have the three ponds that we have, Belmopan, Belize, and San Pedro, are just servicing, like I would say, somewhere less than 20% of the entire customers of BWS countrywide. The rest of the customers, most of them use septic tank. That is a system also. But we are, when we did our red setting for 2022 for BWS, we informed them, that, it's also your responsibility to take care of those septic tanks. The septic tanks need to be serviced. Of course, they have to cost it. And we're waiting to see how they're going to make that submission to us. Because otherwise, what would happen to that septic tank? When it's full, some private person goes and pump it out, and we don't know where to throw it.
So, while water abounds in Belize per se, what happens to the big companies that use large quantities of water resources in country for private gain, and how is it regulated?
As a matter of fact, there's a perfect law for that already in place. It's the National Water Resource Act, and they are the ones. It's a commission, just like the PUC that controls the entire water of the country. They are the ones that are supposed to. They are the ones that are supposed to determine here what you are using this water. You need to pay a tax of so much or whatever. The problem is that the commission was never established, and that you're talking 15 years ago. Once that commission is in place, then all of what you're saying should be controlled, should be whatever, and all those things.
Presently in Belize, there is 3 methods of producing consumable water. These are wells, surface water treatment, and reverse osmosis. Whichever system is the choice, however, it must be regulated by the Public Services Commission. Coming up next, schools from the north benefit from...
Centaur, your kind of company.
Se acerca el Mundial Qatar 2022, fecha de inicio 20 de noviembre. Viva la emoción de cada partido.
Le quiere hacer un puente al portero, pero este no se deja. ¡Qué leñazo, señores!
De cada golazo. Y de cada jugada.
Y ese reanuda el juego con un bote tuya, mía, tenla, te la presto, dámela.
A través de Centaur. Suscríbase ahora.
Centaur, your kind of company.
Win big with Shell. Shell $50,000 in prizes this Christmas. One lucky customer will win $6,500 in fuel. Plus, over 40 customers will win either $150 in fuel vouchers or $500 in cash. To enter, spend $40 Belize or more in fuel. Complete the entry form and drop it in the boxes provided. Fuel up with Shell this Christmas for your chance to win. Promotion runs from November 21 to December 31, 2022. Terms and conditions apply. Visit solpetroleum.com/winbig with Shell for more details. Shell trademarks are used by Sol Brands Incorporated under license from Shell Brands International AG.
Today, the Belize Bureau of Standards, BBS, held a soft launch for its Energy Efficiency Labeling Scheme, EELS, for refrigerators, air conditioners, and lighting. The Belize Bureau of Standards, BBS, as a CARICOM member state, was selected to participate in the pilot voluntary project. Since then, the BBS has been actively collaborating with stakeholders, regulators, and businesses alike to introduce a CARICOM energy efficiency labeling scheme based on existing CARICOM regional standards for air conditioners, refrigerators, and light bulbs, which drives at the heart of making standards relevant for consumers in small developing nation states. Towards this end, the BBS approached the Association of Normalization and Certification, ANS, of Mexico in 2021 to garner support for Belize's EELS pilot project through a cooperation agreement. The main objective of the cooperation agreement focused on capacity building for staff to carry out conformity assessment for energy efficient appliances in addition to other key support areas. At today's soft launch, Director of the Belize Bureau of Standards, Jose Trejo, spoke about the importance of the project.
The idea is to really have an energy efficiency labeling scheme so that consumers can really relate to the appliances that they're purchasing. We know that a refrigerator is not something that you buy on a daily basis, but we want to ensure that when consumers do make that kind of a purchase, whether it's a refrigerator, it's an air conditioner, or a light bulb, that they take that into mind, the kind of savings that the item will give them and what that means for them in terms of their household income and expenditures. So that's ideally what we're trying to do.
ANS is a leader in standardization and conformity assessment activities. During the past 2.5 decades, ANS has added value to quality through safety, health, performance, and the best use of natural resources with standardization solutions, laboratory inspection and testing, calibration, aptitude test, and certification as the basis for technological development and innovation in the region. The confidence in this institution is attested by its predominance in the Americas, includes USA, Mexico, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Panama, Colombia, Peru, and Ecuador that have supported the field of product certification for the electricity sector, as well as addressing the needs of various other sectors, according to Trejo.
I don't know that we will be able to set up a testing facility because of the high costs that it will, an investment for us to be able to test a refrigerator, test a light bulb, test a air conditioner. So third-party certification from an entity that has international recognition is very critical for us. So the dynamics of this is that we have done our research and we have understood for the most part where our products are coming from. So Mexico, being a major trading partner for Belize, some 85% of these appliances come from them, from this country. So ideally what we want is to establish this relationship, a relationship that says, these are the standards that we have in Belize. Can you tell us whether or not an item that you have tested, an item that you have verified, an item that you have evaluated, validated, conforms to our standards? So the heavy lifting is going to be done by our partner. They will be able to say these range of products across these product classes conform to your national standards. So when the product comes and lands in country, they would have done a significant amount of work for us to say this product confirms. So that's the importance of the relationship, and this is something that we probably will eventually have to do with other countries.
The work of ANTS will ensure the project's viability here in Belize, says ANTS representative Danny De La Vega.
Part of this cooperation that we have with the certification bodies is to identify those standards that are adopted at the national level, and also bring support to them in order to have an effective adoption of the regional standards such as they have in the nation. Okay? Also part of this cooperation of this agreement is to guide the certification bodies, testing laboratories, manufacturers, importers, and marketers, and also consumers in the effective implementation of these standards, and to avoid any interpretations in the conformity assessment requirements, because we will receive a document, and this document will be necessary to have a good interpretation in order to avoid misunderstood.
As for importers, they have been receptive to the project.
We have done a lot of sensitization and focus group work with the importers. There's still a lot more work to be done, and there's still a lot more of education to be done with the importers. I don't feel that we've had pushback. I think there's been a lot of support for this program, and we started from 2018, so I don't sense that there has been any pushback. I believe the sensitization has worked, and I think that the importers understand, retailers understand the end goal of the energy labeling scheme, and we've had a lot of support for it.
Through the collaboration of the governments of Belize and Mexico and the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, FAO, 488 primary school students are receiving a free healthy meal daily as school feeding programs get underway in Belize. Over the last year, the Resilient School Feeding Sub-Project of the Mexico CARICOM FAO initiative, Cooperation for Climate Change, Adaptation and Resilience in the Caribbean, or Resilient Caribbean Initiative in short, has been partnering with the Ministry of Education, Culture, Science and Technology to develop a sustainable and wholesome school feeding program through infrastructure upgrades, capacity building, and student nutrition assessments. As a part of the initiative, 6 schools in Belize received infrastructure upgrades to existing kitchens or conversion of spaces into kitchens and outfitting with new appliances such as refrigerators, freezers, stoves, and utensils like pans, pots, serving tools, and baking materials. In addition, the Ministry of Education is providing ongoing funding for the purchasing of the provisions for the feeding program. Schools benefiting from these upgrades include Biscayne Government School, Chanchen Government School, Guinea Grass RC, Lucky Strike Government School, Santa Marta Government School, and San Joaquin RC. Further support has also been provided to school cooks through the facilitation of a series of training sessions on food safety and the preparation of healthy meals that are also familiar to the students in each community. The Resilient Caribbean Initiative, funded by the Mexican Agency for International Development Cooperation and the Mexican Ministry of Foreign Affairs, is being implemented by FAO in 14 CARICOM countries, with school feeding being a focus for the Bahamas, Belize, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, St. Lucia, Trinidad and Tobago, and Suriname. The sub-project aims to strengthen the capacities of institutions and stakeholders to link the purchase of products from small farmers while promoting a national framework for school feeding that facilitates access to healthy diets produced locally. The project follows the sustainable school feeding approach of the FAO Brazil Technical Cooperation and other FAO frameworks such as the Homegrown School Feeding Framework. The Ministry of Education, Culture, Science and Technology is in the process of developing a national Healthy Start Feeding policy, which will encompass the experience of this sub-project to ensure that all students can benefit from a healthy meal daily. Effective Wednesday, November 23rd, 2022, the controlled price for liquefied petroleum gas (LPG) will see a reduction of 0.3 cents across the country. These changes, as announced by the Supplies Control Unit (SCU) in the Ministry of Agriculture, Food Security and Enterprise, and will be reflected in both retail and wholesale prices in rural and urban areas. With this most recent decrease, the new wholesale price per gallon of butane is $4. In urban areas, the price per gallon will be $5.60 and $5.70 in rural areas. According to the release by the Belize Bureau of Standards, this monthly decrease is mainly due to decrease in the acquisition price of propane. The public is advised that the prices established for imported LPG are based on the mixture of 70% propane to 30% butane only, as per requirement of the Belize National Standard Specification for Liquefied Petroleum Gas. The Belize Adventist College, and by extension the Belize Adventist Junior College in Calcutta Village, Corozal, is in mourning tonight. Early this morning, former school principal of the institution, Mrs. Celia Clark, passed away quietly. The Calcutta resident was an icon in the development of both institutions over her years of service as a teacher, counselor, and principal. And that's the news. We invite you to join us for another newscast on Wednesday, November 23rd, here on CTV3 and Fiesta FM 106.7. Remember that to read a text version of the news, you can visit our website at CTV3BelizeNews.com. You can also log on to our Facebook page for current stories at facebook.com/CTV3BelizeNews or our YouTube channel at CTV3 News BZ. Remember to wash your hands and remain safe. From all of us here at CTV3 News, thank you for watching and listening. Good night.